another episode of Pinpointe Unfiltered. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Josh, your boy, the realtor of realtors, the head honcho. No, I'm not the head honcho. Um,
I mean, you're a head honcho.
I'm a honcho, half a hunch.
You're just a hunch.
Jesus, we've done this about 4 times now, and it gets funnier and funnier. I think this is gonna be the episode of bloopers. But no, this is not a blooper episode, people. This is a serious one. Rach, what are we talking about today?
The struggle of being a renter, bro. In New York City specifically. We've both been
Struggle is
renters,
real.
right? We know what it's like to have to rent an apartment and look for an apartment and all the drama that goes into it. Um, so yeah, we're gonna talk about all that stuff, the good, the bad, and I don't know what else. Uh,
Good, the bad, the scary,
the
the not so
annoying.
scary, the annoying, the I feel renting in New York is a test of mental stability. Um at times, it could be easy, it could be like, but for the most part I feel like most people go through some type of struggle, which is, it's kind of fitting. This is New York, people. Like, toughen up. Like, this is, if that's saying, if you could make it here, you could make it anywhere. That's not just coming from nowhere. Like, that's not just getting pulled out the sky. That's a real thing. If you have enough fortitude to deal with the logistics of like actually staying here, you could probably be put on any place on the planet and like survive. Maybe not Antarctica. That's another episode we'll get into, but
I don't
sure.
know anything about living in Antarctica, so that's
Oh,
that's
that's
all alone.
pinpoint conspiracy theories. Dun,
Oh,
dun, dun,
okay,
dun.
that's a totally different podcast. Um, so and I think also we'll talk about like tips to deal with all of the downsides of renting.
Yeah, we will try to give you the life hacks, as they say, um, to get you where you need to be, and that's in your brand new apartment. Right? All right, let's knock this out the park.
So what are we starting with? Uh,
So I
Pain points.
think I think some of the common pains, and like Rach, you let me know if I'm off, because it's been so long since I like went out. I had to find myself an apartment.
That was a
Um
few years ago, right?
Yeah, well, you know what? These last couple of years felt like dog years, I feel, with
Mm.
everything I'm going on. Um, but I feel the most common thing that I guess I get from my clients, a lot of people call it the bait and switch.
Mm.
It's like, oh, I see this ad online, and now, like, I reach out, and by the time I get to the place, the realtor's like, oh, it's been rented. Yes, there are some instances where people are just putting up very, very old ads and just trying to get you to, like, call. Sure. But honestly, for the most part, it's just things move. Like, this is New York. Things are moving so quickly. We have not figured out a way as an industry to keep it up to date in like real time.
Yeah, I think that's like definitely a thing. I I mean, as a renter, I've definitely experienced that myself, even before I became a broker, where you're, just obsessed with Street Easy. You're looking at Street Easy all day, every day. You're looking at apartments, and then you're trying to reach out to the brokers of said apartments. And I think one of the biggest issues is that Street Easy isn't necessarily connecting you with the listing agent. Like it sometimes if you click on contact agent and it brings up like a contact form, it doesn't always go to the listing agent. Sometimes it'll just go to any other broker. And I think that happens more, I think, on the sales side, but I think it does kind of happen sometimes on the renter side because, or maybe not so much anymore because I haven't really used it on as a renter, but in a while. Um, I know for sure that it's happened to me in the past where I've like reached out to like a listing on Street Easy and then not been in communicating with the listing agent. So that's already like a bait and switch that's something that brokers don't even have control over necessarily. But then yeah, once you once you do reach out to the listing agent, like, imagine how many people have been reaching out to them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I have an ad up right now on, Street Easy. I just don't physically have enough time to
Respond to all the
respond to every single inquiry, to continue my flow of clients that are not for this specific, property,
mhm,
um, to do my responsibilities as, co-founder,
mhm.
to record podcasts, to are you kidding me? I almost like had an attack because I'm like, when am I supposed to clean my apartment? Like, when am I supposed to be like a normal
Person.
person?
Yeah.
I'm still putting off blood work from like three
Bro,
weeks
you have
ago.
to go get it's right around the corner.
I know. But there's like I'm just using this as an excuse, but you get my point where there's just not enough time in the day to do everything that, you know, a broker, real estate, like a salesperson has to like do,
Yeah. I
especially
mean,
if you're trying to get that listing agent, you're trying to get that
that
agent, that like
specific person.
that specific
Yeah.
person.
And then there's a lot of, like, the bigger companies, like, I don't necessarily need to name them, everybody knows what the
You
big
don't name
companies
those
are.
names.
But they will often have, like, 2 or 3 agents listed. So, like, you reach out like, let's say you reach out to the contact form, it should go to all of them, but what I'm about to suggest is not to do that. Like, if you can get their phone number, call them, right? Just like we you were saying, Josh, like, you get so many inquiries from the contact form, and how long does it take you to actually sit down to go through your email to be able to respond to them? But it's a lot faster for you to just answer your phone, right? So
Yeah. Or a
so
text
if people
message or even a voicemail, like anything. Yeah, that
yeah, yeah, it's a
it
lot
puts
easier.
it puts you on the radar.
But then there's like the listings that have, like, from the big firms that have, like, a bunch of people, like, you can reach out to one and then they'll be like, "Oh, you have to reach out to the other person, not me." Okay. Why
And
are you on here? Like, then some are like, "Oh, but you have to reach out in the contacts form because that way it goes to everybody and everybody's aware." But then you're waiting for them to actually sit down, look at their email and get back to you. So, like, that's really annoying as a renter, right? Like, who am I supposed to reach out to get this apartment? And especially now with, like, the law supposed to change in a few weeks, like, you really need to make sure that you talk to the listing agent, right? Because if you talk to any other agent, then you're gonna have to pay a fee. But if you make sure that you talk to the listing agent, um, you can avoid that fee. So like, it's it's complicated, and if you don't know the ins and outs of how Street Easy works, you're asked out. Like, you're gonna be on this merry-go-round of, do I talk to this person? Do I email this person? Do I call that person? And do I just sit and wait for them to get back to me while there's, like, hundreds of other people reaching out?
yeah, it's
It's it sucks. Like, it sucks. As
it
a renter, that
sucks. It
sucks.
it it feels like it's an uphill battle,
Mhm.
but you know what I tell people? Just call me. Just call me. Call me and you won't have these problems. We'll have a good time. I think just the other day, like the lady was stressed out and what we had some coffee, we had, a little like Hungarian pastry. Shout out to the Hungarian pastry shop up on Morningside.
Oh, shit. I want some Hungarian pastries.
It was delicious. It was very delicious. It's gonna be on the top. I'm gonna do my, president interpretation. It's like it was so good. It was so good. It was the best. But yeah, it can be very, very, very frustrating that you're like clicking on these ads, no one like gets like responds to you. Are you kidding me? It happens to me as an agent where I'm like reaching out to another agent like, hey, I have a client for you, I'm trying to like do business for you, I've already vetted these people, you don't have to worry, I've already like helped out a bit. They don't respond.
They
Like,
don't.
what can you do?
Call us.
You
Call Pinpointe
exactly
because we
call
actually
us.
we actually answer the phone.
Let me stress out about someone not picking up the phone because I actually
Mhm.
know the tips of how to get around all that stuff. I'll show up to the building.
That's true.
I know what I need to look for. I know who I need to look for, and it helps. That should have been on honestly the last episode when we're talking about a couple stories where I've had to do some deep dive like research to get like actual phone numbers for
Oh,
people
shit.
to get me into like apartments.
That's
But
crazy. But, hey, you go above and beyond for your clients, right?
exactly. But again, we're you know, it's the common denominator for let's say an agent or a renter. Like sometimes getting in contact with the people with the access is difficult.
Yeah,
Um,
and then that brings us back to what you were talking about, right? By the time you actually get into contact with the listing agent, that apartment is gone,
yeah, it can
right?
be depending
And
on the
then
market, depending on the time of year, the
but
type of
even
apartment.
but even this past winter, right? Shit was moving fast, right? Like there
Yeah,
was very little available and it wasn't staying on the market very long, which is why we even had like record rents in the winter. We don't usually have record setting rents in the winter. Now, obviously, they're record setting compared to other winter months, not compared to summer, but still, like, I think they like April was the median rent for an apartment in Manhattan was $4,500 for April. The fuck? So, like, that's like going
and
to
that's a
show,
one
like,
bedroom, or that's all apartments.
um, I think it was just all like the median rent for all apartments.
Okay,
I
that's
think.
still
Don't
high
quote me.
though.
I could be really wrong. Um, I don't know, but yeah, like it's a there's a lot of different bait and switches that you have to deal with, right? Like, is it bait and switch with getting in touch with the actual broker that's listing that apartment, and then once you do, like, is that apartment even available? Because like you said, shit moves really fast. You 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 get a whole bunch of inquiries, phone calls, texts, emails. You try to sort them, try to show them. You show a few, a hundred, I don't know how many, dozens. Get applications. Who knows how many applications you're getting? And then you have to run the first application, completed application that you get. And if it's approved, you have to now send out leases, get all that shit settled. Like in what time? And then that's just if you
And
have
I'm
one
still getting
property.
inquiries
That's if
as
you
all
just
this
have
is
one
happening.
property. Imagine how many other, like, if we have a million other, not even a million, like
10.
5 other properties, 10 other properties that you're dealing with, like, as an agent by yourself, like, that's a lot, right? And then again, like you said, dealing with clients, like finding them apartments, being the co-founder of a broker, having to do all those other things. Like, there's a lot of shit that has to get done. So you aren't like your number one priority isn't to take down that listing, right? Like,
Thank you for reminding me.
take down the listing.
Take down a listing, not that listing, but
Oh,
another listing that I just thought about.
you see,
Thank you for
like
reminding me.
there's so much that like has to go. So like it's not it's I'm sure in some cases it is intentional for brokers to keep listings up, but I think I'm going to give the brokers the benefit of the doubt that the majority are it's just time, right? They just time is finite and we don't have it. Um
Yeah, and
and the way that this market works is fast.
your most important, I guess, priority once you get someone on the phone interested, meet with them, show them one time. And that's the thing. Everyone thinks that's like every broker's just showing one apartment and then it's done. Like, no, like if they're a good broker, um, now I've got you in my spreadsheet, I guess, and it's like, all right, let's try to find you an apartment. If it wasn't this apartment that you called on, let's find you an apartment. And that takes time researching, you know, all those things. Um,
Well,
but
for
go ahead.
me, like before I became a broker, right? Before I met you, that's what I was like I was kind of hoping for, but didn't really get. So, like, until I met you. So, when I was looking for my apartment, I was like on Street Easy all the time, reaching out to every different ad that like, you know, fit my needs and my budget. And most of those brokers weren't like, okay, what else can I show you? They were just like, here, I'll show you this. And then when I got to interact with you, right, you were like, okay, tell me what you're looking for. I'll show you a whole bunch more. So I think the first day you showed 1 or 2 properties to me, and then, like, the next day, it was, like, a whole bunch more. And I mean, it turned out that the one that I had reached out about was the one that I ended up going with, but it wasn't because you were trying to switch, like, bait and switch me. You were just saying, like, "Here, this is, like we've talked about multiple times, like, this is a smorgasbord of what you can get, for what you're looking for and what you need." So I like, as a renter, I prefer that, right? Because then that takes, like, the burden of research off of me and having to chase other brokers. Hey, can you show me? Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? Like, as a renter, that's what I preferred. And I didn't get it until the end of my experience. And, you know, obviously
Look
we're
at
still
us
friends.
now. Look at us now.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, like, it's it's important to have an advocate, right? And somebody on your side, um, in this ridiculous rental market, right? Like, obviously, it's expensive. It's not for free, but I'd rather pay for that. And again, that experience for me was before I became a broker. So it's not like I was a broker and, saying, like, I needed help, and advocating for brokers. I was definitely just a renter at that time. Um, but if I was a broker, that leads me right into um my next pain point is qualifying for an apartment. I mean, I wasn't even a broker and I didn't qualify, right? So,
This
um,
is the one of the hardest things is like, oh, you could show
oh
my
my God.
apartments, you can put people in my
But, like,
apartments.
40 times the rent is, like, astronomical. Like, who the fuck makes that much money, especially when the rent is so goddamn high? Like, I feel like now, like, I totally understand from a landlord's perspective why it has to be so high, because they need to make sure that they're not gonna have somebody in there that's gonna stop paying rent the second they move in, and then it's gonna take them a year and a half to kick them out, right? I get it. But on the renter side, like, who the fuck makes that much money? If the median rent if for Manhattan is 4,500, Josh, do the math.
40 times, you're looking at upwards to, like, I want to say that's like almost like 180,
Fuck that.
175.
What? I
It's
don't
like
make that. I own
175,
my own
180.
company. I don't make that.
Kidding me?
And then I need a guarantor.
That makes double that.
I make
Oh,
more
what did
money
I
than
say? I
everybody in
said
my family. What
180.
the fuck?
Nice. Good.
Like, if I'm the one that makes the most money in my family,
Education.
how the fuck are they supposed to be my guarantors? I'm gonna need, like, all of us together. Like, can I get 10 guarantors that all
Listen,
have, like, different types of credit? Like,
if
that's not gonna work.
I was just talking about this earlier with someone, I was like, if this real estate stuff doesn't work, like, OF, I'm about to get on that platform and try to get the bag or something because if I want to live in New York, like, expensive.
As Danny says, it's time to sell her feet.
I don't think anybody wants to see my feet. I
No,
walk
I
too
said her feet.
much.
I said her feet,
I
not
don't have
yours.
I don't have a Danny. Like, you see, that's my problem.
Yeah, but
That's my
we're all part of the
problem.
same team. I'm sure she'll do it for
Do
you.
it for the team.
Right? Because right, remember, if your job and my job is to make her a trophy wife, then I'm sure she will help to help get her there, right? Like, come on.
I just want a home. I just need a place to stay, please. Which is what I think I hear from so many people. And I joked about, like, not jokingly, but it's how I cope, I guess. We talked about it the last podcast with Al, where, like, at a certain point I had to, like, turn off the heartfelt, like, the human part of me when people would, like, come with these, like, very sad stories. um like, yeah, I want to help you, but sometimes people don't want to listen. So I'm trying to help you professional. Like, I'm here trying to help you as a professional, and I'm like, hey, these are your best choices. And then, like, you're gonna be like, oh, well, I'm gonna, like, keep moving on, and then you're gonna come to me in a week, like, hey, what about those choices you said were for me? I'm like, yeah, but that was like a whole week ago.
Yeah, well, I want to get into that a little bit more, but, like, I want to finish talking about this, like, qualification
Qualifying,
shit.
yes. Sorry,
Because, like, no, you're fine. Um, Thankfully, like, when I didn't qualify for an apartment, right? It was before 2019. So I was able to pay and an additional 3 months of security. So I paid a total of 4 months of security deposit so that I can make sure, like, yeah, it's a lot of money up front.
And a 15% fee, people.
No, no, fuck you. I paid 12%.
It was? Okay, damn, I'm slipping. Weak.
No, because you know me,
So weak for a pretty
you
face.
know me, I'm a
Jesus.
negotiator. So even
No, of
back
course.
then, you came to me at 15, and I was like, nah, chill.
But
And then you're like 12, and I was like, you need to do better than that. You're like, nah, I can't. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll do 12.
but it just goes to show you how much money people were spending where you like it sounds terrible, but you got it easy. You got it easy with 4 months like security. I've had instances where a client had to pay a full year up front, and that's not rent. That's basically it was just security. And so then
That's fucked.
you have to pay your rent every month. And
Yeah,
yes, you're gonna get that huge check, next year or when like you move out, or if your landlord's nice, is like, well, you paid your rent on time every time. Here, I'll give you half your security back, which has happened.
that's what I negotiated with my landlord at that time.
It's just it is ridiculous the amount of money that has to go into moving in New York. And you so you add that plus the fact like, all right, it's a lot of money and you have to have good credit just to qualify. So not only do you have to have some like access to some money.
Money. But you need to have good credit to show that you pay your bills.
Yes.
It's hard. It's really, really hard, especially like when you're younger, right? And you don't have, not that you have bad credit, you just don't have a lot of credit when you're young, like when you are in college. It's a struggle. And now with the laws that passed in 2019, you can't even if you had all that cash, you can't use it to get that apartment, right? Like I'd be asked out. I would have to take a shitty apartment
Yeah.
or have like, like that would have really sucked. So, and like I think I mentioned it in the last episode. I don't remember, but I literally just had a client the other day that was like, "Oh, well, I'll pay 6 months of rent up front." And I'm like, "You can't do that anymore."
Yeah. This throwing that type of money at this problem is not going to work here. But see, this is yes, we've been talking about pain points, but I'm gonna throw in a nice little silver lining to it, where it kind of did level out the playing field a bit, and because there's only a few number of people that can afford to pay 4, 5,
Yeah,
6, 7 months,
that's
all this
true.
advanced like security. Um, so they created these third party guarantors. Like
Yeah.
it
But
became a
that's an
bigger
extra
thing.
cost. Like you still have to pay for it. I guess it's cheaper in the long run, maybe, but maybe not, right? Because like let's say it's half a month's rent for for the guarantors. I always tell
I
people
I
like
I push it up to a month. Like
I always
expect a
tell people
month.
up to a month, but usually it's less,
It's
right?
usually less, yeah.
But I always tell people to budget for a month. But but now that you're paying that and you're not getting that back. Like if you had to pay an extra 3 to 6 months in security, you're gonna get that back,
Okay.
right? It's like it's upfront. Even if you had to pay your entire month's or your entire year's rent, right? It's your rent. This is just an extra fee that you're not getting back. So from the renter's perspective, yeah, it helps them so they don't have to throw out money up front, but it also makes them spend more money that they didn't really need to have, and it's not to get anything. But is the problem the qualification, or is the problem that the laws have become so tenant focused and forgetting about the landlord that the landlord has to take all of these additional precautions
Yeah,
to make
it's
sure that they're not going to get asked out, right? Like it's it's
double
then
edged sword.
yeah, and like the chicken and the egg, which came first, right?
What is it? I bite my nose.
To spite your face.
Yeah, there you go. That's the saying.
Yeah.
Um,
And then like the other thing about qualifying, right? Josh, you and I are brokers, even before we started our own business, right? Which I think makes it worse now. But
and
as
shout out to Pinpointe Group. We're about to hit year 3.
hell yeah, we're gonna have to do like a
Oh,
special
that's gonna be
episode.
another episode. Maybe that's when the baby oil comes out for no, I'm just joking. No baby oil will be used.
Sexual harassment. Just kidding. So just as brokers, regardless, like not owning your own firm, just as a broker, you are a 1099 employee. Like you're not an employee, you're a
Yeah, I'm
1099, right?
high risk.
Actor. So you don't have, and like you're a commission based, so you don't have a set stable income. So for a landlord, they're like, hell no, we don't want you. We might have relationships with landlords, but they don't want to rent us their apartments, right? Because
They
they're
just
like, we
want
don't
to.
know,
They
like
was like,
you're gonna
listen,
have no money
don't rent
next
me.
month. Yeah,
Yeah.
pass.
Oh, imagine what it was like during COVID.
If you were a broker or any 1099 contractor, it was probably impossible.
Like, shout out to my exes that have looked out. Love you guys. You guys are the best. We're still making it. No, like it's true. Like you need to have people around you, um, that could support it. Like
Same. How do you think I
it's
got that
not.
apartment in Harlem?
It is not easy, uh, for any person in New York, including landlords, including land. Yes, they're making money, cool, but they're also landlords that are not, the 1%. I had a neighbor who owned this townhouse on the Upper West Side on 71st, right? And during COVID, he comes to me, he's like, "Hey, Josh, I know this is your business. What can I do?" The tenant that they had on the ground floor, the garden apartment, was a lawyer, and because she knew the law, knew that she didn't really have to pay rent. And it's not that she wasn't able; she just knew that, oh, because of these laws, I can manipulate it and not pay rent.
That's so
And
funny.
now this is a landlord that's not doesn't own 10, 12 buildings. Like, he's living right upstairs. He's life hacking it, right? He's house hacking it.
Hmm.
That's really messed up that a person would jeopardize another person's future,
Livelihood? Yeah.
livelihood, because that's
But
him,
they
his
don't think
wife,
about it.
his
Like,
children. No one's thinking about that.
what renter is thinking about their landlord?
No, like not one person is thinking about it. Like it's not even just the renter. Some brokers are not
Nobody
thinking
thinks.
about brokers are not thinking about the clients. The clients are not thinking about the brokers. The landlords ain't thinking about anybody. People, we need to get together, start being a community the way I try to like portray community, and maybe things will be a little bit better. I don't know. But because we have these problems like this, it's just a never ending cycle. So qualifying, I sorry, I went off on like a thing, but
You're good.
it's just to show people that no one has it so much more better than anyone else. There are problems in every part of this process. Every plateau that you can hit in real estate, there's going to be some type of issue, some pain points. Um,
Yo, and every
where
time you get rejected, it hurts. It hurts. Like that's a personal. It's like it's a personal affront. You're like, what do you mean? Like
I'm
I
not good
need this
enough.
place, right? Like
Yeah,
I mean, Josh, when you first rejected me to that apartment, I, I
it
was
wasn't
like,
me that
where
rejected you.
are you? I know. But
It
it came from
wasn't
you, right? Like
me.
that's the thing is like as a renter, like it's coming from you. You're the one that's giving me the bad
Yeah,
news, not the landlord.
I'm the face of
Right.
it.
So and I was just like, oh hell no, this isn't happening to me. I was like, where are you? I am coming to your office and we're gonna hash this shit out.
And her little 5 foot ass,
Hey, I'm 5'3", okay? Give me
oh
them three
yeah,
inches.
fine, I'm sorry. She marched down and sat down. I was like, all right, I like you. You know what? I'll go a little further for you. I got you.
Yeah,
Which
but like you have to like you
but you know
can't
what?
just
Sometimes you got
take
to.
that
Like,
on yeah.
yeah, sometimes you got to. Sometimes you have to. Um it's but it's tough because like you can't do that with everybody.
No. No, and
That's
that's the other reason of like having a broker that's working for you as a renter, they have your back. Maybe not everybody, but for sure us. Like I know we are like that.
and I guess I'm hoping with, let's say, like, things like this that we're doing, that more people get to like kind of get a more in depth view of like how we interact, how we really are as like people, like, business owners and stuff like that. We'll reach more people and like be able to help more people in that sense. So not everyone has a terrible taste in their mouth when it comes to dealing with brokers. Same thing with, with agents that might hear this and might want to like work with us. Like I've been lucky enough to find like really, really good people while doing this, like really
Yeah.
amazing people while
Hell
doing
yeah.
this. Maybe I'm super lucky. Maybe it's because I'm giving out a different energy that these other brokers weren't taught, that you could actually be a human being in this game and make money.
Yeah.
You know,
I I mean, I think back to like when you were getting that Upper West Side apartment, you wouldn't have qualified to do it by
no,
yourself.
no. And if you ask me right now, money's not an issue where I'm living, Upper West Side.
All right. So now I want to jump back to what you were trying to talk about earlier, which I know we talked about also on the last episode, which is how sometimes renters hurt themselves when looking for apartments.
Yeah.
Um, and I want to call it FOMO, right? It's definitely the fear of missing out or the hope that something better exists. I mean, you see it all the time, right? You show them the apartment, they're like, "Oh, thanks. This is awesome. I love it, but I'm not ready to apply." Why? "Oh, I want to see what else is out there." But doesn't this check all your boxes? Isn't this exactly what you said that you wanted and needed? Yes, but I want to keep looking. Like that's the thing, is like that's something that I try hard to empathize with, but even as a renter long before I became a broker, that was never my mentality. My mentality was like find the one, lock it down.
Which there's not many people like that, Rach. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I've come
Well,
to find that most
you've
people
learned
don't
that,
think like
yeah.
me.
Um, like you said, even like when you were in Miami, you have a background of some real estate, right? You weren't a
Yeah, for
broker,
sure.
but like you were like worked in the company, startup, like you
Yeah, yeah.
saw what it was. Um, and as an agent now, like we see it so differently. It's like we walk in and we're like, check, 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 check. No,
Hmm.
I could deal with that, whatever. Like I know how much that 15-minute commute is worth to me. I know the 5 flight walk up is how much is it worth to me. People don't really know it until they start going through it, and not even like I'm living in it, but more like I have to see other stuff to gauge what the value. This is why I really like to show at least 3 apartments. Give me
Yeah, but
three apartments.
even
Give me
showing
three.
3, 5, 6, 7 apartments, they're still like, "Nah, I'm not ready." Even if
Sure.
in that set, there is one that they were like, "Yes."
Okay. I just got a text message right now, right? We just got to follow up on some clients, hit it off smashingly. Hit it off smashingly.
Mhm.
Um, I thought like I always think, I never think it's not gonna be a deal. Like my head is like, nah, that's a deal. I got this. Like, chill.
And then
Chill.
every time I tell you it's a deal, you're like, "Nah, don't jinx it."
Like in my head, I think it's a deal. Like I like it's the confidence factor, right? So,
Mhm, mhm.
I showed him some stuff here, explained that whole like value thing, right? Explained the value thing. And then it just happened that the apartment that would have worked for them, that would have locked it down in that second, wasn't available yet. And I needed to come back to get video. I still waiting for the management company. Look, what we just talked about earlier. I'm still waiting for the management company to give me exact time I could get access to this apartment. They just got back to us. Oh, we found another place that fit all our things. We moved on it.
Bro, that's not your fault.
It's not. It's not. I did exactly what I was supposed to do. I conveyed to the client, hey, you need to start thinking of things like this. And they did. So I'm happy. Like, I'm not happy my company doesn't make any money on it. I'm not happy that, this landlord is taking forever to give me access to this, because I'm like, damn, that would have been a deal, whatever. But I am happy that my point was like carried across, and they did exactly what I told them to do. They listened.
Yeah. They didn't
Sometimes
wait. Yeah.
sometimes it just doesn't work out when they listen,
Yeah, that's fine, but at
and that's
least they're taking
fine.
your advice, because then that like, they'll remember that, right? But like, how many times, like, you show a client and then they're like, "Oh, that's not like, I like it. I'm gonna keep looking." Then they realize, they've spent another few days looking at other apartments, and they come back to you like, "Hey, I like that apartment that you showed me and that I liked. I would like to apply." And you're like, "Okay, cool." And then you go talk to the landlord and they're like, "Nah, it's rented."
It's happened so many times,
It happens
um,
more times than it doesn't.
and to the crazy point where I think this was like in December recently, where clients had the same budget, two different clients, same budget. So I showed the same stuff. They were looking around the same stuff, and one got access, made it his priority to get into this
Mhm.
apartment, and he took that apartment. It was off the market. And then the other one was like, "Oh, we'll get to it. We'll get to it
When we get to it,
when
yeah.
we get to it." And then it was like, "Wait, but that apartment was so perfect. Like, yeah, I sent you the video of it. You should have applied when I sent you the video." "Oh no, but like we had to see it in person." I'm like, "Okay, I get that." So then, if an apartment is perfect and you have to see it in person, then that perfect apartment should take priority of I gotta go to dinner, I gotta go whatever I gotta
Yeah.
go do, I gotta
But
go to
I
the
think
gym.
part of it is like looking for an apartment, especially in New York City, is overwhelming, right? So like, I don't think that this reaction is irrational. I
No,
think it's I think it's just like you're overwhelmed. Plus, it's New York, so you have your entire 2 weeks planned out ahead of time, right? Like trying to make fucking plans for dinner with a friend is like you gotta schedule that shit in. So of course now you have to schedule in when to see apartments. But like you said,
birthday's
if
in
you're
three
looking,
weeks.
yeah, it's already scheduled. Um, it if you have to look for an apartment, like all your plans need like this is the best advice I could give you. All your plans need to go out the window. Your plans need to be finding an apartment because when an apartment is available for you, it's really when you're available to see the apartment, right? And you need to make yourself available to see that. Like that like again, I'm going to go back to the time where you were showing me. You didn't even show me. I wasn't in town.
And I said it when we were on the phone. I was like, listen, I have no problem taking your friend around. That's cool. Whatever. Great. You need like someone that you trust. I like firmly believe that, sure. But if I gotta wait for you to apply after you come here, so I have to show it to you twice,
No.
that's gonna hurt your
And there's people that
chances.
are like that, right? That are like, "Oh, I'll send my sister, I'll send my friend, I'll send whoever, Joe Schmo to go see the apartment." And it's and then they're like, "Well, I still wanna see it in person." But I knew that this person that I was sending, I could trust. I trusted her to see the place and to know what I liked enough to make that decision. And sure, she took videos, and I think there was, like, 1 or 2 times that she, like, FaceTime, but I didn't like that apartment that I rented with you. It wasn't even, like, something that I was, like, super looking for, like, I d who wants to live in a basement apartment? But it had a little private backyard, and I had a dog at the
Those
time. His
barbecues,
name
people. Those
yeah,
barbecues.
well, we'll get there. So I had a dog, his name was Harvey. He was my everything, and when she saw the apartment and she was like, "Harvey's going to love it," I was like, "Okay, that's it, let's apply."
You had me at hello,
That's it,
pretty
done.
much.
And then I applied before I even came back to New York. Um, and then like I asked to go see it because I was in the neighborhood seeing something else, right? Because I was like, okay, in
See,
case
people, every
this
client
falls through.
wants to see what's on the other side.
No, it wasn't that I wanted to see. No, no, no. I was moving forward with that apartment. I had already had applied.
But you're hedging
I
your
was.
bets. You're like, all
I'm
right,
hedging my bets
there you
in
go.
case that falls through. I need to keep looking.
Smart.
I was still looking until the moment you called and told me that I was approved. Because especially when I got rejected, right? And then I was like, okay, I'm so glad that I kept looking because I got to keep going now. I get like even more. And I had seen another apartment that was on 116th on the east side. Actually, it was 115th. Uh, but yeah, on the east side. And it was a really nice apartment. It was one flight up. It was like a junior one,
Okay.
okay? And it was really cute and I really liked it. And I was like, cool, I'm going to apply. Because at that moment I had already been rejected and we were trying to rework the deal so that I could get approved. But at that moment, I was still technically rejected. So I was like, all right, I'm going to apply for this and that other one can go fuck itself. And then literally as I was walking out of that apartment, I hit the sidewalk and you called and you're like, okay, we got you approved. Right. And then, so like, I wasn't looking at other apartments because I was afraid of like finding something better, right? And then being locked in. It was I'm looking at other apartments in case I get fucked, right? But the second that I I saw or my friend saw the apartment and we knew that that was it, I didn't hesitate, right? And that's the thing. It's like I understand hesitating. This market is overwhelming and the process is confusing and it's expensive. And if you get locked into an apartment that you don't love, like it's going to suck. But it's going to suck more if you miss out on that apartment and you get something worse.
Yeah. 12 months of a shitty apartment
And then you have to do the process all over
all
again. And
over
it's so
again, and it's going to be more
expensive to
expensive.
move.
And it's
Yes.
going to be more expensive.
And it's already so expensive. Like, and of course, rents are going to go up, right? Um, unless you have a disaster like COVID again, and nobody wants that. Like, and then even then, right? Rents went down for a year and then they skyrocketed back up. Um, so
Yeah,
like,
because we got the great deal when we got to the Upper West Side. We got a great deal, and then when we went to go renew our lease, they wanted to like charge us another $500. And if it really wasn't, for my partner at the time, like I didn't even do the negotiation on that part. She was like, "Listen, we'll be here for another year. Like we'll stay, keep it the same." And the landlord looked out for us, like good tenants, all that. Um, those things do matter, but essentially the rent's gonna go up, like
mhm,
regardless. So
always.
like yeah, the rent's dropped and we got a great deal, but then within that year, rents already started going up again. That's always gonna be the trend. So the the fear of missing out, the only thing that you should want to miss out is paying more rent for the same type of apartment or worse.
Yeah, but then you have like, oh, well, maybe I'll find something cheaper.
Unless you
Chances
want
are
to
you're
move to
not
a
going to
place that's
find.
not safe, a place
Right.
that
And if
doesn't have transportation.
exactly, if it's going to be cheaper and you're doing an apples to apples comparison, right? You're gonna get what you pay for, right? Like, and I mean apples to apples because I literally just showed a client yesterday in the Heights, and it was a two-bedroom, and I think it was like 3K, and they're like, "Oh, we just saw a two-bedroom that was so much bigger for like 2,800," and I'm like, "Where?" Crown Heights, and I'm like, "Bro, you cannot compare a Crown Heights apartment to the Heights, like, or anywhere in Manhattan. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, you're not doing an apple. Like, if you're looking in Crown Heights, I'm telling you, and I told them, go to Crown Heights. Like, you're not going to get your money's
Yeah.
worth here.
Yeah,
If you want to be in the city, this is the best two-bedroom apartment
in the city.
for $3,000. It's got an elevator and laundry in the building. So, like, that's what I mean by apples to apples, right? Like, you have to do that. So if you're looking you know, for a $2,800 and if it exists, a $2,800 two-bedroom apartment in the Heights with an elevator and laundry, there's gonna be something wrong with it.
Definitely. And all right, so now, Rach, how do we help these people? What do we do to like? What can we do, or not? What can we do? Because it's what do we actually do? Because this is what we do on an everyday basis. To help numb the pain.
For me, I think the number one thing that I know that you and I and Al do is educate.
Yeah.
We try
Communication is the
to
key.
give as much information to our clients as possible. Um, but it's up to them to take it, right?
Yeah,
To
to want
take
to
that.
receive it. Yeah,
Mhm. Um, The other thing that we do aside from being, like, straight up, right? Like, "Hey, this is the situation. This is the apartments that you qualify for, that are in your budget, that are in the neighborhood, there are amenities that you want. Um, we really do try to listen to our clients. But at the same time, we're not magicians. We can't just say, okay, we hear you. You want washer and dryer and unit for $3,000 a month. Here you go. But we will try to find it.
Do my
And then when
best.
we don't, we will tell you, hey, you can get it for an extra $500 a month. Is it worth it to you? Don't know. Right. But for $500 a month, you can do laundry every day at a wash and fold that has pickup and drop off, and you still won't hit $500 a month.
Yeah, definitely not.
But that's something that I would tell them, right? And that's something that you would tell them, right? And then let them make that decision.
I've even gone like old school that I've gotten them the old where you have to like kind of wash it on
Washboard.
a
You've
washboard.
gotten
There
a
you go.
washboard?
Like yo, bringing out that old Hispanic out of me. Like, yeah, and if it was good enough for my grandmother,
Oh,
it's good enough
shit.
for you. Our clothes were always clean.
Here, I'll
No,
get you a clothesline.
the good old days. Um, no, you're like you've hit it. You hit it right on the head. I can't understand when people tell me they like meet with brokers and the broker just like sits or stands like in the corner, says nothing, and is just on their phone. I'm like, you know how much stuff you have to like actually like convey to a client, or at least try to. I
Mhm,
tell all the clients is like, look, my job is I don't care what apartment you actually like move into. It doesn't matter to me. Um, my job is to get you to rent or purchase or sell quickly in a timely fashion. Let's get to your end goal quickly.
mhm. Yeah, I mean,
That's
I
my
like,
job.
if I'm showing somebody just 1 unit, right, I'll let them walk around, let them check it out, and I won't let them leave without giving them my spiel, and my spiel isn't a sales tactic, it's literally education, right? It's literally, "Okay, what are you looking for? Give me your feedback on what you think about this apartment. Okay, now how how can I help you with this information that I have?" Right? And if we're seeing more than one apartment, then I have that conversation while we're walking, right? Because I don't want to take away their attention from looking at the unit when we're in the unit.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm not necessarily just in the corner on my phone. I'm trying to have conversation, but not such a deep conversation that they're not paying attention to what they're looking at. Um, but yeah, I still try to make the time to have a conversation so that I can understand exactly what it is that they want and what they're looking for. And then I try to educate them on the market, right? And the process of applying.
Yeah.
Because it's a difficult process and
It's a lot to
so
do
stressful.
and a lot to like convey in 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even in an hour.
It's hard. Like,
Like, are you kidding me?
it's
If you
hard.
go back to the
But that's why we're
episode,
doing this podcast, right? So we can
like, hey,
over several hours have this conversation.
go to
Yeah.
episode 7 and you hear all the tips that I have. Like, sure. Actually, I have to start cataloging them in my head better of what we talked about when.
Yeah. Add it to the database in your head.
Yeah, this weird thing I got going on in there. No, but that is, we're here to help. What I always try to like, convey to these people is like, look, I'm here to help you. Like, I'm on your side. I'm not the opposition. The same thing when like talking with a landlord is like, what, you don't think I want you to make a lot of money? Like, if you could rent this apartment at like $4,000 and like there was an actual person that could qualify for it and I got it for you, like I'm gonna get paid. Sure, that benefits me, but what doesn't benefit me is having high rents that are not like they're not valued properly. So you might not want to hear that, hey, your apartment needs renovating, your apartment like is not up to par with the others that are in the
Mhm.
neighborhood. Do more. Nobody wants to hear pay more.
Yeah. No,
Landlords don't want to hear
nobody.
pay more.
Landlords want to.
The clients don't want to hear like, hey, if you want what you want, you're gonna have to pay more. Um, but that's the way we're gonna be able to help you by being, by being us, honestly. Like, because we're always gonna be real. We're always like, yes, we understand business and we're learning even more. Um,
But we also know what it's like to be a renter.
but we also know what it is to be a person like in New York that like has rented. Um, now as owners, we understand like what it takes to like run a business and like bottom dollar. Like there's a bottom dollar to this, so it's like the things that we're going through now. I'm like, if I could talk to like the first owner that I worked for, back in like best apartments, the fights that we used to have, I'm like, damn, maybe I would have eased up a little bit knowing what he had to like go through.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So we are here to help people. Call us. Listen.
Yeah, I mean, if you're struggling to find an apartment and you've been rejected or you haven't been rejected or your qualifications are, dubious at best, hit us up. If
Or
you're
if you're
overwhelmed,
struggling to find a
yeah,
broker,
hit, if you're afraid to work with a broker, hit us up
I'll take
because
that broker hat
we're
off
not,
for a second, throw a bunch of
yeah.
F bombs in there. We'll feel like roommates.
Well,
I
I'm
do it
always throwing
anyway.
up. Yeah, I'm
I
doing
do
it
it
anyway.
anyway.
Um, but no, hit us up for real, because like we want to help people. That's why we started our firm, right? We started our firm because we're not like all the other brokers. We actually care about helping people because we've been there. Um, and we'll probably be there again. Hopefully not for a long time. But yeah, like we are just trying our best to help you guys. And I think on that note, we can go.
All right.
What do you think?
Well, Rach, always a fun time. You know,
Hell yeah.
we're always like, and I
I mean,
enjoy
it was
myself.
rough going. I think this is our fifth one. It took us 5 times to get started or something.
Yeah,
But
but it's okay. The people love us. The people
hopefully.
love us.
Guys, if you do love us, please subscribe, like, comment, follow us on Instagram, follow us on LinkedIn, follow me on LinkedIn. Tell me how good of a job I'm doing at all of this ridiculous social media that I can't stand. Um, Tell us how good we're doing at our podcast. Please be kind. If you're not going to say anything nice, just keep it to yourself, please. We
And
have
if you
fragile
and
egos.
if you want that smoke like that, you already know you could find me in the streets, people. I'm outside. I am
You're gonna get run up on.
like they really are gonna try to run up on me, but it's gonna be a good time because afterwards I'm probably gonna get them an apartment. We're gonna have some iced coffee. You know me. Um, guys, much love. Thanks for tuning in, Rach. I love you.
Catch
To
you on the next one. Ooh,
to
next one should be our anniversary. 3 years.
3 years
Holy
we
shit.
outside. I'm out here.
Holy shit. All
Guys,
right.
I catch you later. Love you.
Peace.